This is the Shrimp Trawler Video Channel Strat-O-Matic Baseball Excel Game of the Week.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Game of the Week. In the 1981-84 Fall League, we got a battle today between the Kansas City Royals and the Milwaukee Brewers in the American League Midwest. And this matchup does not get enough attention, and it should in this timeline. I guess it's small market teams. Of course, Kansas City wins the 1980 World Series, and then they don't go back until 85, but they're still very good. And Milwaukee goes to the 82 World Series, but small market teams just don't get a lot of attention. They were in different divisions historically, but they're in the same one now, and they each are led by Hall of Famers and MVPs, George Brett and Robin Yount. This is sort of the George Brett, Robin Yount era colliding against each other, and only one team can win the division. Let's show you what's happened in the series thus far. Game 1 opened up in Kansas City. The Brewers have Pete Vukovich. Kansas City has Larry Gura in this one. In the first inning, the Brewers get a run after a Charlie Morse single, Cecil Cooper double, Robin Yount, it's an RBI single, 1-0. Second inning, free agent Otto Velez for the Brewers hits a solo shot, 2-0. Fourth inning, Otto Velez again, a solo shot off of Larry Gurr. Like the guy crushes lefties, throw something in the dirt, don't put it down the plate there. But it's 3-zip. Bottom of the fourth inning, the Royals get a walk, an error on Molitor, and two more walks that leads to an unearned run. Pete Vukovich often did put a lot of men on base. So it's 3-1 at this point. It stays that way until the eighth inning. Larry Gurr pitches deep into the game. Eighth inning, thinking of pulling him, gets the first out, gives up a Robin Yount double. Then a ground ball to Willie Aikens at first is an error. Then he gets Gorman Thomas to strike out. So there's two outs now, and Otto Velez is walking into the batter's box, and we're like, what are you going to do? You going to, walk him, go to the bullpen? But Kansas City's like, no, it's Larry Gurr. He's our guy. And, well, yeah, Otto Velez is Milwaukee's guy today, at least. 3-run homer in the eighth inning. It's the Otto Velez day. He's 3 for 3 plus a walk, 2 solo shots and a 3-run bomb, and it's 6-1, and we think this game is over. But the Royals have other plans in the bottom of the ninth. Frank White, UL Washington and Amos Otis get singles, or runners on the corners. Willie Wilson with an inside the park 3-run homer, and by the way, he hit 3 of those, and that's the only homers he hit with that 82 card. They all came against righties, and it's a 9-shot on 5. Pretty reasonable in my half. I think I could hit that. I think I'll hit more than 3. Then they go to their closer, Peter Ladd. Brett with a solo shot. It's 6-5. You get a Butch Davis single, but then the bench players, Jerry Martin strikes out and Rick Dempsey grounds out to end the game. Milwaukee survives with a 6-5 road win. Fun game. Now let's get to this crazy game 2, which started out as a wild and fun game as well. Turned into something else altogether. Moose Haas for the Brewers, Dennis Leonard for the Royals. Okay, the Brewers again in the second inning. It is a Deion James single, a Ben Ogilvy double, a Tom O'Malley single, 2-zip. Bottom of the third, though, Kansas City. Willie Wilson single, steals a base. Brett, it's a 2-run homer. Ken Phelps, nice free agent, solo shot. Royals take a 3-2 lead. Fourth inning, Deion James singles, Ogley walks, O'Malley RBI single were tied. Bottom of the fourth inning, Otis singles, another Willie Wilson inside the park, 2-run homer. See, I told you folks I can hit that. I can hit the nines. Homer nines on 5, I can do those. I got 2 of them in back-to-back games. Willie's going to hit 30 of those this year. And it's a 5-3 game. And again, the Brewers are like, not so fast. Cecil Cooper singles, Robin Yount walks, Ted Simmons RBI single, Gorman Thomas RBI single were tied again. And the Royals say, not so fast. John Wathan doubles. Error on Jim Gantner, sac fly Ken Phelps, 6-5 Royals. And by this time, the Brewers don't answer in the top of the 7th. You get a Cooper pop out, Yount singles, Simmons walks, but James strikes out and Gorman Thomas flies out. So they don't tie it back up. And that must have been a signal for the Royals just to lay on the gas, because the Royals score 6 more times in the 7th and 8th innings. They do not hit an extra base hit, and they do not draw a walk. That is right, folks. The Kansas City Royals have 11 singles and 6 runs. In the 7th and 8th innings, befuddling Moose Haas, Jerry Augustine, and Tom Tellman. And the Brewers finally say, we're done, we give up. We got a road win in Game 1. I think that's all we're going to get today. 12-6 final. Kansas City, 12 runs, 23 hits. Brewers, 6 runs on 14 hits. 37 hits in the game. 18 runs scored. These teams are potent, folks. Scary, potent teams. Sadly, only one will win the division. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the standings. With 2 games played and 3 games on the horizon in the Midwest, there it is. The Royals have a 2.5 game lead. And when we go to the scheduling, these series are supposed to be best of 5s. However, in the 7th and final series before the season ends, we created a rule several years ago, a rule I really like, that suggests if the second place team is chasing the first place team in the final matchup by scheduling, and it is exactly that, we can permit the second place team, we will allow them a 4-1 or a 5-0 if it matters. So does it matter? And the answer is yeah, it matters. If Milwaukee can catch, they can't catch a 5-0 obviously, but if they can catch a 4-1, that would give them the division. And also permits the idea of choking, of a team choking the lead away. And frankly, folks, yeah, if you choke the lead away, you deserve it. So Milwaukee can win this series and has to win this series 4-1 to win the division. If they lose a second game, Kansas City clinches, then it becomes a simple best of 5 just to complete the schedule. At which point the Brewers might not even show up for Game 4. But you get the idea. Or they win that and they play a Game 5, which is also meaningless. But in any event, the Brewers still have a path to the division. They have to rip off 3 straight wins. Game 3 here in Milwaukee, Game 4 in Milwaukee, and Game 5 back in Kansas City. Now, with that all being said, let's get to today's pitching matchups. For the Royals, nice free agent they brought in, Craig McMurtry. Craig was an Atlanta Brave in 1983 and had his best year, and his only good year. 15-9 with a 308 earned run average and 225 innings, so he can pitch on 3 days rest. Nice little free agent, feathered in between Gura, Leonard, and Mike Jones in the Kansas City rotation. And the Brewers are going to go with Bob McClure, who at this point is starting. He's firmly a starter 7 in 82 and 173 innings. And they needed that out of Bob as they won the division and went to the World Series. You could call it the best Bob McClure starting performance of his career. But he was versatile enough to also go to the bullpen when needed. And He played the whole decade. I think later in the decade he was even better with California as a closer. Setup guy. 12-7, a 4.22 ERA, but the card plays better. 173 innings. Craig McMurtry, Bob McClure in a battle of Scotsmen here in the home of the True Brew Crew, Harvey Wallbangers. Let's get started. Leading off for Kansas City, it'll be John Wathan. 1-8 is a base hit. He is a double-A stealing catcher, but today he's playing first base. Versatile player. He's going to steal. He's out on a 20. Now it's Willie Wilson. No inside the park homer today, unless they go to a righty pitcher. 48, short X. Robin Yountz 1 at short, and he makes the play. And now you got Butch Davis. 55, grounds the second. Paul Molitor leading off for the Brewers. 1-4. Center. Gantner, 3-11. Lines the third. And Cooper, 34. Grounds to first. Brett's not in the starting lineup for Kansas City today because, well, McClure is not very good against righties at all. And this gives an opportunity for Kansas City to load up with them. Plus, they're also playing with house money, and Brett would be the first guy to come in once the Brewers inevitably go to a pitching change in this one. Top of the second, it's Frank White. 2-9, grounds to short. UL Washington, 36, grounds to short. Amos Otis, 39, also grounds to short. Bottom of 2, Robin Yount, 4-10, center X. Wilson is a 1-6 in center. Double check that, yeah. 2 years in a row he was. Makes the catch. Ted Simmons, 37, center. Dion James, 46, flies to right field. We go to the third, Jerry Martin. 1-9, grounds to short. Dave Chalk, 1-6, grounds to short. And Rick Dempsey, backup catcher, 3-9, is double 1 to 14. It's a base hit. Back up top to John Wathan. 3-7. Let's take a look at this Wathan card. It's kind of a fun card to look at. He's a -1 arm catcher. He's also a 40-13 first baseman, plays both. Catches versus righties, first versus lefties, giving Willie Aikens a day off. He's a double-A stealer. He walks a lot. He's a 270 hitter. I think he was an all-star even with this fun card. He hit 300 in 1980. He's hit 328. He's had a nice little career. He used to be able to play left field even. Very fun player, John Wathan. 3-7, double 1 to 6 is a double. And with 2 outs now, it's Willie Wilson. 63 off McClure's right X. Your right fielder is James Dion, or Dion James. He'll go to either. He'll answer either. He makes the grab. Bottom of the third. Royals threaten, cannot push a run across. It's Gorman Thomas. 55, second X. This is Frank White, a 1-20. Makes the play. Ben Ogilvy. Grounds to the pitcher. And Tom O'Malley, 58, short X. McClure's and O'Malley's today. UL Washington's a 2E32 at short. And he makes an error. And there goes that perfecto. Paul Molitor, 55, second X. This is Frank White, a 1E20. Makes the play. We'll go to the fourth. It's Butch Davis, 56. Flies left. Frank White, 210. Pops to first. UL Washington, 68, 111, base hit. You want to steal with 2 outs? You got Ted Simmons. You got to take advantage of the bad, weak throwing arm of the Milwaukee catcher. He's taken off. He's safe on a 3, and he catches the T rating of 7. So, ball sails into center field. Thomas throws it back in. And UL Washington dusts himself off at third base. Royals are threatening again with 2 outs. It's Amos Otis. 66 off McClure is a strikeout. Bob McClure bears down. Bottom of the fourth. It's Jim Gantner. 57's a walk. That's the bugaboo on the McMurtry card. Walks to left-handed batters. Cecil Cooper. 2-6 is a single dot. First and second. Robin Yount. 3-5, single dot. That will score a run. Brewers take a 1-0 lead. They have it going here in the fourth. Runners on the corners, no one out. Simmons, you play it up, you play it back. Looking at ground ball B potential. Don't see it. Play it back for a double play with no one out. Simmons, 68. Single 1-2 on the McMurtry card. He lines out. That's a nice little out there on McMurtry's card. Why Z-Ray is so good. Now, can you bring it up? You do. This guy's got lots of ground ball Bs, and there's also one out. So they're going to bring it up for James Dion. 112 is a ground ball to second. Was an A. Would have been a double play, but you had the infield up. So it's second and third with 2 outs, and Gorman Thomas has a chance to pick up a couple of runs here. 57 is a strikeout for the righty. We go to the fifth. 1-0. Jerry Martin, 48, short. Are the Royals worse against lefties? Oh, yeah. Bottom 3 players are their bench, and they only play versus lefties. And they're all signed with their 81 cards, meaning that they're one-year wonder, or they're one-year rentals. Jerry Martin to be defense and left. Dave Chalk to be defense for Brett at third, who had an off-year defensively. And Rick Dempsey to be a -4-arm catcher, should they go against, a solid base-stealing team like the Ricky Henderson Oakland A's or so forth. Martin, Chalk, and Dempsey. Versus righties, of course, Brett's in there, Ken Phelps, and Willie Aikens. So they have thunder versus righties. And Milwaukee has not just McClure today, but they got Mike Caldwell tomorrow. So they're feeling somewhat confident in this. 48, short X. This is Yount. He's a 1 at short, and he makes the play. Here is Dave Chalk, 45. Second X, this is Gantner, a 2. Solid infield defense for these teams. And Rick Dempsey, 2-2, Lomax. Bottom of the fifth in a 1-0 game. Had 37 hits in game 2. We got a 1-0 game in game 3. That's the beauty of Strat-O-Matic. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
The Brewers, they got the Larry Gurr in game 1, but really it was just Otto Velez hitting those home runs. They have to deal with another lefty, Mike Jones, if there's a game 4. That matters. Bottom of the fifth, it's Ben Ogilvy. 1-4 is a double to center field. Tom O'Malley. 1-5 is a base hit to right field. Ogilvy, a 14 runner. Oh, he won't take on the Amos Otis arm in right field. They'll try for the big rally here. Runners in the corners, no one out. Have to bring the infield up for A. Bunning Molitor. McMurtry struggling suddenly in these last couple innings. The pitch to Molitor, 6-12. Pitcher B, runner out at the plate. This is a case of a batter is so talented as a bunter, they bring the infield up. I mean, if he had no bunting talent, they probably would have played it back and wanted the double play, conceded the run in a 2-0 game. But instead, they get the force out at the plate, and you got runners at first and second with 1 out. So it's a win-win for the Royals. And you got Jim Gantner. 3-5, let's take a look at Jim. Solid player. Pretty consistent throughout his career. Lifetime Brewer. 2 second basemen. Played a little bit of third base as well. Didn't really have much problem with left-handed pitching either. Good bat handler, of course. Bunting, hitting, and running. Decent base runner. Not the greatest base stealer. Here is a C. That's reasonable. 3-5, double 1-2. And that is a RBI single. That'll score O'Malley. Mahler goes to third. Canner at 295. My goodness, Milwaukee's loaded, folks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These two teams really are 2 of the best teams in the American League. Only one's going to the playoffs. Runners on the corners for Cooper. They're going to play it back. They're not going to hold Gantner. They want to double play if they can get it. Here's the pitch to Cecil Cooper. 46 to sac fly to right field. And they get the third run as Molitor trots in. Runner at first, 2 outs. Robin Yount. 2-7, grounds are short. 3-0, Brewers. We go to the 6th. It's Wathan. 45, second X. Gantner again. It's the Jim Gantner day. Ground ball to second. Makes the play. Willie Wilson strikes out. Butch Davis, 47. There's a walk. Finally reached on the McClure card. Took him 6 innings to do that. Frank White. 2-10, lines to first. Bob McClure delivering for the Brewers. Like I said, he really helped them in 82. And in this game, they need him, and he's performed for 6. At this point, he cannot lose. They'll hook him in the 7th if he runs into a problem. Bottom of the 6th, McMurtry's breaking inning, but he'll continue. It's Ted Simmons. 1-8 rolls to short. James Dion James pops to first. And Gorman Thomas, 2-12, a Lomax. We'll just keep rolling into the 7th inning here with Bob McClure. It's UL Washington. 45, second X again. Gantner, a busy day. Fielding ground balls, makes the play. Amos Otis, 36, a strikeout. And with 2 outs. Fans on their feet here in Milwaukee. They sense what's going on. This guy with 7 shutout innings. Jerry Martin, 2 nines, a single. He's a beast stealer, but he's not going to attempt to steal down by so many. And it'll be Dave Chalk. 3-11 for Chalk is a fly ball to right field, and that is 7 scoreless innings. My goodness, Kansas City put up a 12-23 yesterday. Nothing today. Stretch time here in Milwaukee. We are listening to Big Star, and we're listening to In the Street. You know, this is from that 70s show, which was in Milwaukee or Wisconsin. Yeah. So we thought, you know, this song kind of associates a little bit to Milwaukee or the Brewers, and sure. It became. I just always played Big Star when Milwaukee was playing at home, and that it's turned into its own thing. It's just what we do here. This thing is like 2 days long. If you're stuck in a sleeping bag on the remote cliff, get your Spotify or Spotify thing rolling, and you can just listen to Big Star nonstop, folks. It's under 100 songs, barely. And it is about 5 hours, which could be 2 days, depending on Spotify math. All sorts of stuff by demos, early versions, alternate mixes, live stuff, alternate single mixes. Every combination to get more material in one place, they do it. And there's that. Okay, back to the game. Fun stuff. Bottom of the 7th. You want to hook McMurtry? I mean, they could. He's given up 3 runs in 6 innings. You could save your bullpen and let him go out there for the 7th. He's got the bottom of the lineup. Though it's a good bottom. You got Ben Ogilvy and Tom O'Malley down in there. You know, Ogilvy's a 280 hitter. O'Malley's a 275 hitter. That's what I'm saying. There is no bottom of any order with these clubs. So, Ben Ogilvy, 63, short X. UL Washington's a 2E32, but he kicks the ground ball. That's an error. Tom O'Malley, playing third with Molitor, the DH. 38 is a 6-4-3 double play. And back up top to Molitor. 2-4, flies to center. Well, you think they just wanted a quick inning so that we can get McClure out there when he's on a roll. Can we support him with some defense? You could put Charlie Moore behind the plate if you want. I don't think the Royals would be stealing bases anyway. That would pretty much guarantee it. Let's do that. Let's just put Charlie Moore behind the plate as a better catcher. We'll move Simmons to DH. All right. 8th inning. Bob McClure. And it'll be Rick Dempsey to lead off. 2-7, grounds are short. Wathan. 2-8 is a walk. Here's your inflection point. Willie Wilson better against righties. This probably could be the last batter. 246 off McClure is a walk, and that are the telltale signs of fatigue. From Milwaukee starter, and there's the walk. There's Harvey walking to the mound, and that'll do it for Bob McClure today. He's gone 7 1/3 with just a 5-hit shutout here presently. What an ovation he's getting. 7 1/3 innings. They got 5 outs to get. Peter Ladd's the closer. Jerry Augustine's a lefty setup guy. They prefer Larry Anderson prior to the 9th inning over Tom Tillman, and this is who it'll be. Larry Anderson was a Seattle Mariner in 1981. He also pitched for, I believe, Houston. I think he pitched for Philadelphia. Nice career for Larry. 3-3 with a 2.65 ERA in 68 innings. Nice addition to this Milwaukee bullpen. He comes on in the 8th, and he'll face Butch Davis. The other unfortunate thing about all these righties coming up is who do you pinch hit Brett for? Obviously, you got to wait to the bottom half before Brett gets in the lineup, and by that time they could go back to the lefty Augustine. Because you're not going to have Brett pinch hit for Frank White or Amos Oders, UL Washington, so. It's Butch Davis, the tie run. Here's the pitch to Butch. 45 off the Anderson card. It is double 1-7. It is single out dot, and the Royals are on the board. It's 3-1. You have runners on the corners. You don't have to hold Davis, the C-stealer. Again, you got Charlie Moore catching now. Runners on the corners, 1 out. Frank White, they're going to play back for Frank. Here's the pitch. 2-2, foul at the catcher plus an injury. Well, that's interesting. That kind of hurts. That means Chalk has to go be the second baseman and have to stay in the game. Brett's got to go to the third, but he has to go in that spot, frankly. Yeah, because Chalk can't vacate the 8th spot. So it looks like Brett can't bat until deep into the 9th inning now. That's a real terrible break for the Royals. So after the foul out and 2 outs, it's now UL Washington. Here's the pitch to UL. 1-4 is a ground ball to second base. So, I mean, if you could save Brett and put another position player in the game to cover second, third, and short so Brett can still pinch hit, that would be great, but there is nobody else. That is a shame. So Brett has to come in for... Oh, this is kind of a mess here. I mean, he could come in for... Jerry Martin, the second batter of the 9th inning. Let's do that. Let's put him in there. And we'll just put Butch Davis in left field. That's how we'll solve that problem. And I need a DH in Frank White's spot. Well, I can leave it vacant for now. All right, so the DH spot will now be Frank White. Butch Davis will be in left where Martin was, and Brett will go to third base. Chalk goes to second base. This is a free substitution pattern using the designated hitter. We don't use the rule where the pitcher has to be put in. That's because we have a small roster, folks. Only 12 hitters and 8 pitchers. 3-1. I should make that a disclaimer, so I don't have to repeat that every time I play this thing. Same with the E0 pitcher home field advantage rule that I usually do every time I play. I digress. Bottom of the 8th. It is 3-1. Anderson worms out, giving up just 1 run. McMurtry's giving you 7. You've pulled within 2. You got lefty, lefty, righty, switch, lefty. Let's go Shane Rawley out of the Kansas City pen. A nice free agent. Shane Rawley. Also a Seattle Mariner in 81. Well, that's 2 guys now. Anderson and Rawley. No longer on Seattle. I guess Seattle found someone else they like. 4-6 with a 3.97 ERA in 68 innings. Then he goes to Philadelphia. Becomes a nice starting pitcher for a few years. Shane Rawley in the bottom of the 8th inning here. Trying to keep it a 2-run game. Any other changes for the Royals? No, that's the only change. And it'll be the busy Jim Gantner. He scored a run, knocked in a run, made a bunch of plays at second base. He'll lead off here in the bottom of the 8th inning. 48 off Raleigh's second X. This is now Dave Chalk. At least it's not an automatic error. What is Chalk at second? He's a 4, may as well be. He's a, 29. 4E29. I thought it was 4E39. There's no such thing. 4E29 at second base for Chalk. And that is a single. And Frank White wincing in the dugout, noting he would have gobbled that thing up. Cecil Cooper. 310 flies to right. Robin Yount. 56 off of Raleigh's a base to left field. Does Gander go coast to coast? On a 13. Against the Butch Davis arm, he's going to do it. It's a +3 arm suddenly, and he makes it. On a 15 even. He makes it because of the noodle arm of Butch Davis, who had to be inserted. These are all because of the Frank White injury. It's a chain reaction here. So you got runners on the corners. Yeah, you have to hold him. He's a beast stealer. Now you kind of have to go up and hold. You don't want any more runs to score. And it's going to be Ted Simmons. Infield up, 1 out. Here's the pitch to Simmons. 69's a sac fly to center field, and it's 4-1. And Deion James will stay in the game against the lefty. 1-9, grounds to first. Well, teams each score in the 8th. It's a 3-run game into the 9th. You want to start the 9th inning with Anderson? Yeah, you got to get Kansas City to bring the big lefties in and then go to the lefty. Let that happen. So it's Otis and Brett. Oh, yeah, it'll be Otis. Augustine will pitch to Brett, and then they'll go to Peter Ladd to face Chalk, and that'll be pretty much it. So, yeah, 9th inning, 4-1 game. Leading off, it's Amos Otis. 1-7, Otis. Single 1 to 9, and he cannot catch it on a 12. That's 1 out. And that'll be all we need for Larry Anderson. We got the final couple outs in the 8th. He pitches an inning total. Jerry Augustine will come on to the 9th to face Brett. Let's take a look at Augustine. You know, it's not the highlight of the Brewers. We know that. They're Harvey's wall bangers. Their starter had a 4.22 ERA. Augustine's got a 4.28 ERA. But he, like McClure, was asked to go, we need you to start. We need you to go to the bullpen. We need you to, cover a guy here. And, yeah, these guys, made careers out of that in Milwaukee. Hung around, logged some important innings, even though they weren't the most effective pitchers. What it does do, though, is get Brett swinging against a lefty. And let's take a look at Brett now. George Brett, 1983, a 3.10 average and 25 homers and 38 doubles. What really sticks out, what also sticks out is the 38 strikeouts and 57 walks back in the era when nobody struck out. It can play left field, first base, and third base. The things that stick out is the bad defense at third suddenly, George. A 3.37. I don't know where that comes from. But the fact that he destroys righties and is just mediocre is a kind word to use against lefties. My goodness, George. Homer, double, triple, double, single against righties. 3 years after the 390 card in 1980. That's why we love this card. But against the left side, didn't start today. So, that gets you some idea. And here's the pitch to George Brett. 66 is a fly ball to right field. And with 2 outs, do you just paint by numbers here? You do. They're just going to pull Augustine. They don't need him anymore. And now they're just going to go to their closer to get the final out. And a cheap save. Because Dave Chalk does not have any hits on this card. You could pinch hit for him. And then fake it at... make Brett, if they take a lead, Brett would have to play second base in the bottom of the inning. Though guys like John Wathan, I bet you he could play second base if needed. They're going to pinch hit for Dave Chalk with Ken Phelps. So Peter Ladd comes in to face Ken Phelps. With 2 outs in the 9th inning as a pinch hitter, here's the pitch. 2-10 is a grounder to second, and that finally is your ball game. The Brewers do hold on and get the victory, keeping their slim Division title hopes alive. Bob McClure gets the win. Ladd gets the save. McMurtry takes the loss. We'll have the box score of this game after the break. Game 4, it'll be Mike Jones versus Mike Caldwell. That's the number 4 of Kansas City versus the ace of the Brewers. Then if we go back to Kansas City, they'll have their ace, Larry Gurra, pitching at home versus Pete Vukovich. So, should have some more fireworks for you folks, so stick around. All right, folks, here's the box score of the game you just saw. Bob McClure and the Milwaukee Brewers beat Kansas City 4-1. McClure, 7 1/3, 5 hits, a run. 3 walks, 3 Ks. Peter Ladd gets the final out for a save. McMurtry, 7 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, a walk, and a K. So this means that Milwaukee has won 2 of the first 3 games. They pull within a game and a half. Let's show you what's happened in Game 4, and we'll have some more live action for you, folks. Game 4, Milwaukee. Again, they'll start a lefty. It's Mike Caldwell versus the lefty Mike Jones of Kansas City. In the first inning, ground ball, error on Molitor, a stolen base, an RBI double Frank White, 1-0 visitor. Bottom of the inning, ground ball, error on shortstop UL Washington, stolen base, RBI double Charlie Moore, and a sac fly Ted Simmons. It's 2-1. And a kind of a mirror there. Bottom of the second inning, Mike Jones again runs into trouble. Walk, single, walk, force out at the plate, sac fly, 3-1. Fourth inning, Mike Jones in trouble again. Single, single, walk, bases loaded, walk, double play, ground out. But it's 5-1. Mike Jones has not been, could have been a lot worse. Fifth inning, really interesting inning for Caldwell. After an out, you have a single by Dempsey. Wathen flies out. Then you get a Wilson single, a Butch Davis RBI single, a Frank White RBI single, and then UL Washington, a double to right field. Right fielder, or a double to center field, right. Charlie Gorman Thomas has a -2 arm in center field. Butch Davis scores. Frank White trying to score from first on a double. 15 plus 2, 17, -2 for Thomas, 15, rolls 16, thrown out at the plate right here. Frank White can't believe it. He gets into a screaming match with the umpire, like, come on, Frank, calm down. Don't get injured or thrown out of this game like you got injured in the previous game. So instead of it being a 5-5 tie, it is a 5-4 game. And it's just an RBI double by Washington. Bottom of the inning, you get a single, a walk, after an out, RBI single Linares, ground out. Then they finally pull Mike Jones. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 6 runs, 4 earned. Here's the bugaboo. 6 walks, no strikeouts. But they bring in Renee Martin to get the final out of the 5th inning. What could have been a 5-5 game turns out to be a Milwaukee 6-4 game. Renee Martin pitches reasonably well next few innings. Bottom of the 7th, you get a walk, single, ground out, sac fly. Caldwell is pulled after 7. And they have their choice of how to use righty, lefty, righty. And they decide that, you know, they're leery of when Brett gets into the game here again. So they go to the righty Tellman to face Frank White, UL Washington, and Amos Otis. By the way, the thing I failed to mention is that Frank White, UL Washington, and Amos Otis destroy left-handed pitching with their cards. So even though the bottom half of these guys aren't particularly great, this middle cluster is, you know, and they have they're 5 for 12 in this game. But Tom Tellman goes 3 up and 3 down, and then in the 9th inning, they bring in the lefty Jerry Augustine because they don't want Martin, Chalk, and Dempsey to leave. They're like, no, leave those dudes in there because they went 2 for 12 in this game. He gets the first 2 outs. Grounder to Cecil Cooper. He boots the ball for an error. So they hit the safety switch and just go to Peter Ladd to get the final out of the game. He does. He gets John Wathen to ground out. And the Brewers, they've won 7 of 4. They've won 3 out of 4. They've pulled within a half game of first place. They have one more game in Kansas City to win the division. This is a really interesting story for the Brewers. History suggests in 1982, when they won their division, Baltimore tracked them down. Final 4 games of the season were in Baltimore, and the Orioles beat up on Milwaukee in the first 3 days, setting up the final game 162, where Milwaukee just needed to win 1 out of those 4 games to win the division. Don Sutton for the Brewers, Jim Palmer for Baltimore, and Milwaukee won in a rout to win the division by the skin of their teeth. Well, now the foot and the shoe is on the other side of the shoe. The shoe, the foot, the sock and the shoe and the foot, they're in different places in different buildings, or however the expression goes. So it's Milwaukee who has to do the extreme heavy lifting and do the winning out. Moreover, they're going to have to do it in Kansas City. The other little kicker here is Kansas City wins the division, they're number 1 seed. If they lose Game 5, they don't even make the playoffs. If Milwaukee wins Game 5, wins the division, they're the number 2 seed, and the Ohio players who were the number 2 seed become the number 1 seed. All sorts of interesting machinations here. And we're live in a Game 7 late. The pitchers today, it's Pete Vukovich for the Brewers, Larry Gura for the Royals. Brewers considered, why not start Jerry Augustine since they're having so much success with lefties? Well, the problem is, if you start Augustine, he's probably going to run out of gas. And when he does, you won't have any lefties left. And Brett and Phelps and Akins can just go wild. So they decided to, we'll go with a righty. We know we're going to bring Augustine in to face Brett, Phelps, and Akins at some point in the middle innings. Practically, if it's a dire situation. So that's the Brewer strategy, to go with the traditional Pete Vukovich. Do what, the script normally would do, Pete Vukovich. And Larry Gura has been told, don't throw to Otto Velez for Pete's sakes, because he ruined the Game 1 victory. We could have clinched the division a long time ago if you didn't throw those gopher balls to Otto Velez. In this game, it is scoreless until the 3rd. UL Washington walks, steals a base. Amos Otis singles to right field. Washington's a 17 runner. At first we thought Charlie Moore was a 0-arm right fielder because he's a 0-arm catcher. No, he's a +2 arm right fielder, which is even stranger because in a future card he becomes a -3 arm right fielder. But for whatever reason, in 81, he's got a +2 arm in right field as they try to get Charlie Moore and Ted Simmons in the lineup at the same time. So Washington scores on the RBI single. Brett gets in the RBI double. It's 2-0. Brewers blow an opportunity in the 4th. A single. Another UL Washington error. He had an error in the last game. By the way, Robin Yount had an error in this game. George Brett had a nice defensive play here. We maligned his defense, but he got them out of the 3rd inning. A single, an error in UL Washington, 2 outs, a walk to Otto Velez. Velez walked in the 3rd, he walked in the 4th, and Gura considers those victories, and then a ground out. Bottom of the 4th, Frank White, solo shot, 3-0 Royals. The Brewers go quietly in the 5th. Bottom half of the inning. Caldwell, Willie Wilson, a leadoff triple on his card, and then disaster happens. John Wathen hits a ground ball to normally reliable MVP Robin Yount. He makes an error, his 2nd of the day, 3rd by the shortstops. Run scores 4-0. Runner at first, no one out. And the Brewers can see the writing on the wall. It's a 4-run deficit. Gura's got a shutout. It's time to do the Jerry Augustine trick now, with Brett, Phelps, Davis, Akins coming up. Augustine comes in to face Brett. Brett grounds out. Then Ken Phelps. Yes, the Ken Phelps against the lefty It's a lefty on lefty 2-run homer, Ken Phelps. And a 3-0 game that turned into a 4-0 game has turned into a 6-0 game. Ken Phelps, the lefty-lefty homer on Augustine. We've had a couple scoreless innings since. And that is where we are. A 6-0 game, but we'll at least give you the last couple innings to see if Milwaukee can mount a comeback, because it's just been such a terrific series with two terrific teams. And yeah, let's take a look at the standings as we speak, because this game isn't even over yet. So this is what the Brewers have done. They've gotten all the way to here, and they need 6 more runs to force extra innings or win it with more than that. And you see Ohio's an 18-11 team. The Brewers, if they make the remarkable comeback, would be an 18-11 team, but they lose a tiebreaker strength of schedule with Ohio. If you're wondering about that, Ohio beat up on California 3-1, and the Brewers lost 3 out of 4 to Toronto, and that's the strength of schedule breaker. And so the Royals, if they do win the division, they'd be 18-10, preserving the number 1 by the skin of their teeth. So right now, it's looking like dire straits for the Brewers, as Gura is pitching fantastic today. He's given up a bunch of singles through 7 frames. Frankly, a 3-0, 4-0, or 6-0 lead doesn't seem to matter too much at this particular moment. We're going to spin the tumblers here as we resume the action. If you've been following my resume the action bits that I've been doing, you notice the opposite quite happens. The team with a lead, all of a sudden, plays poorly, and the team who needs to make the comeback starts making it. So that's another ingredient here. We'll see if that actually happens. Charlie Moore will lead off. 45 pops to first. Cecil Cooper. 69 off of Gura. It's single 1-2. 1-2, and he catches the 2. I had to look real closely. 2s and 3s. Hard to see on these cards. It's single 1-2, but he catches it anyway. Cooper is on, and there's your first miracle of many that are needed. Now you got Robin Yount. 1-6. We haven't shown you the MVP of 1982 cards yet. Let's show him now. Yount. Well, in game 162 of the actual 1982 season, he hit 2 home runs off Jim Palmer. And today, 1-6 is going to be a double to left field, putting runners to second and third. Let me finish the stats, though. 331, 29 homers, 12 triples, 46 doubles. The best year of one of 2 Robin Yount's MVP performances. The other MVP performance, I think he's an outfielder in the early 90s, gets it. Oddly enough, the year after Cal Ripken gets the MVP in, I think, 91. As a, shortstop. Yount used to be a shortstop. Anyway, that's a double. It's second and third. You need 1 more base runner to get Gura chased. And it'll be Ted Simmons. 48 is a pop to first. And here is practically your ball game. It's Gorman Thomas with 2 on and 2 outs. Let's take a look at Gorman's card. Gorman, a 1, -2. This is going to be, believe it or not, one of the highest batting averages of Gorman's career. A 259 average in the strike year of 81. 21 home runs. Remember, he used to hit 38, 39 in a full season. But 21 prorates pretty successfully to what he would do normally. Better against righties than lefties, however. We'll take a walk here if that's all we can get, just to keep the thing going and get out of Velez in the batter's box. Here's the pitch to Gorman Thomas. 58 off Gura is a fly ball to right field on the warning track, but he makes the grab, and Gura gets through 8 innings with a shutout. Bottom of the 8th, Larry Anderson, the 3rd Brewer pitcher, will continue in the bottom half of the inning. He'll face Willie Aikens, the DH. 68 flies to center. Frank White, 1-5, flies left. And UL Washington, 67 is a strikeout. Well, finally, it's the 9th inning, and believe it or not, Gura is going to be pulled. He's a starter 8, so he's halfway to point of weakness. Moreover, Dan Quisenberry hasn't pitched in the whole series. Kansas City's going to go to Dan Quisenberry, their closer, finally, to slam the door on the American League Midwest Division title. It's not even a save situation for Dan. 6-3 with a 2.64 ERA in 129 innings in 1984. You pretty much need an injury to win this game for the Brewers. An injury to Dan Quisenberry somehow. And the DH is due up, which is Otto Velez. You want to get all your lefties in the game that you can. And so they'll start with Dion James. And pinch hitting for the DH means you have to roll a 6-12 here and now if you really want to get Quisenberry hurt by that bizarre rule. So good luck with that. But Quisenberry will come on in the 9th. And he will face Dion James. Here's the pitch. 1-8 is a ground ball to short. Well, it looks like Dan will survive injury this inning. Rufino Linares, another right-handed batter. They're going to go to another lefty. It's going to be Ben Ogilvy. Let's take a look at Ben. Ogilvy in 83 hit 280, but the power is down significantly. Just 13 homers and 411 at-bats. Though his on-base percentage is very good versus righties. And they just need to get on base and get something started here. The pitch to Ben Ogilvy. 2-6 is a ground to third. And the Milwaukee season will come down to the number 9 hitter, Jim Gantner, who's 1 for 3 today. Here's the pitch to Gantner. 1-5 is a strikeout to end the game. And it's a shame we had such a kind of a lousy game 5. A 6-0 final, and oddly enough, this is the exact Baltimore. Jim Palmer's probably watching this going, see? That's what I had to suffer through. The Brewers could not finish the winning streak to end the season, and they lose 6-0 in a rout in the final game. And Robin Yount made 2 errors in it. So, yeah, it's kind of the reversal of history. As at least this version of the 1982 Brewers does not win the division. A different division. The Midwest division. Quisenberry, we'll take this right through the post game. Quisenberry finishes the game. And we'll go to the box in the final. We don't have the American League finish, though, folks. You still have to determine the West. But we do know the teams in the West can't catch the Royals for the number 1 seed. Quisenberry struck out a batter. Larry Gurras, 8 shutout innings, 6 hits. Only 1 double in there. Yeah. 2 walks, a strikeout. Larry Anderson, inning and 2/3. He struck out 3. Augustine pitched 2 1/3. Gave up 2 hits. Gave up 4 hits, a run. He gave up 4 hits, a run, and then an unearned run. And Vukovic, 4 innings and a couple batters, has to take the defeat. Vukovic gave up 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Yeah, actually, that error is charged to that run's charged to Vukovic, not Augustine. Augustine's responsible for the solo homer. The error is an unearned run on the ledger of Vukovic. So Vukovic gives up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, 4 are earned. Vukovic walks 1, strikes out 2. He's 2 and 2. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. 10090108 6806 6806 2225 2522. You know, competitively, Milwaukee was the better team over a period of 5 games. They won 3 out of 5. Probably put up better stats, but they started in a hole. They started 2.5 games back, and that's a shame for them. But that's why we play the games, folks. Give them a chance to make the improbable comebacks and so forth. So we'll look at both teams' stats quickly here, and we'll close this thing out. I guess we'll start with the Brewers, the runners-up for this division. One of the best records in the American League to not go to the playoffs. They're suffering. Well, it's fair. I mean, at least they got their opportunity, right? They got an opportunity. We gave them an opportunity to win 4 out of 5. They got an opportunity that the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds did not get in the year of the strike of 1981. So at least we gave them the opportunity under our league rules to still win the division. They finished 17-12. They had 2.97, 3.75 ERA. And by the way, if you're wondering, yeah, Pete Vukovich, 6-1. That was the loss. The final game of the season. He was 6-0 up until that time. He put a ton of guys on base. He put 68 men on base, but only 13 scored. That's a great earned run average. 2.05 ERA for Vukovich. So that's a Cy Young worthy performance for a guy who, I think he got a Cy Young, I think in 81 though. Bob McClure, you saw him pitch. Well, he was 4-0. You know? Peter Ladd got some saves. He had 7 of them. Home runs, Gorman Thomas had 5. How did Yount do this year? 46 for 119. He had 387, folks. Just had a really bad game 5, game 162, whatever you want to call it. And now your Kansas City Royals. 18-10, best record in the American League. Larry Gurr, 5-1. The only loss was the Otto Velez game. 17 earned runs in 62 innings. 2.46 ERA. Quisenberry still has 9 saves, even though he didn't get one in the series, only pitched 1 inning. Not a ton of power with the Royals, just 4 home runs, a couple guys. The hits? Oh, Frank White, yeah. 43 for 116, folks. I'm telling you, that's a great Frank White card in 82, 371. Finally, with tons of doubles. It all happened. Bunch of guys with 34 hits, including John Wathan, UL Washington, and Amos Otis. And Butch Davis had 36 hits. Brett also had 34 hits. So what was Brett's average? Well, because he got, he was selectively, because they had so much muscle power anyway, he got to sit and, he probably played every game, but he got to sit out the beginnings of some of these against some lefties. He still hit 366 with a card. The team hit 302. But you see, you want to win, it's a team effort. You don't let Brett carry the team. You get contributions by all these guys. Butch Davis, George Brett, Amos Otis, UL Washington, John Wathan, Frank White, all had monster years. Willie Wilson struggled. He had about 270. So he struggled. Willie Aikens didn't do too much either. He had around 250. So, yeah. 18-10. They will be the #1 seed in the American League. The Angels can't quite catch them. In this series, again, with Oakland, Oakland would have to win this one 4-1 or 5-0. They'd have to do the same heavy lifting the Brewers had to do. So therefore, as soon as the Angels win a couple games, that series is effectively over. They can't get to 8 over 500, so they can't catch these guys. The Angels, 7, can they get to 7 over 500? Well, if they rip off 3 straight wins. There is a path for the Angels. They would have to get a 3-game sweep. If they go 16-8 here, that ends that series, period. And that puts them, percentage points better than Kansas City and Ohio in a 3-way tie. Ohio is a tiebreaker versus the Angels, but the Angels don't have it against the Royals. So there could be further math involved. The minute Oakland wins 1 game, if they do win 1 game, it's a moot point, and the Angels would be the #3 seed. Or the A's would be the #3 seed. Looks like the Yankees are stuck at the 5 over 500 at the 4th seed. So they could only move up to a 3 if Oakland does the improbable comeback. I think the best Oakland can do, to rip off 4 straight wins, that series would just stop. They'd be 16-11. And that'd be better than the Yankees, yeah. So more baseball to be played in the American League before the owners. One more series, actually, the Angels and A's series, and that's it. And then the locks come on the doors everywhere in Major League except for Chicago, because Wrigley Field and Comiskey Park will be hosting the Major League Baseball Players Association Championship Tournament as centrally located, largest city in the U.S., plenty of hotel space, and so all the players will pick their own transportation to get themselves there, representing their cities: San Francisco, Denver, St. Louis, Queens, the Bronx. That'd be funny. Dayton, Kansas City, and either Anaheim or Oakland. So fun little stuff there. Trying to make this amusing for everyone. Thanks for checking out the Fall League breakup. Kansas City Royals, #1 seed in the American League. Thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.